Jason Mikell here, along with our executive producer, Terry Eliasen. We got some more goodies to talk to you guys about today.
Yeah, so we're talking chances of a white Christmas. Who doesn't want a little bit of snow on the ground on Christmas morning, right? I mean, as long as it's not falling as you're driving to Grandma's house, I feel like otherwise you wake up, you know, I was going to say 7 a.m., so a lot of kids are up at 5 a.m. You wake up, you see some snow on the ground, it just kind of helps the mood, don't you think?
Hopefully you wake up before 6 because you'll join us at 6 a.m. on the,
precisely.
BZ side.
Right. So
wake up
first things first, you watch Jason at 6 a.m.
Yep.
Get your forecast for the day, and then you say, hey kids, hold on, I gotta wait for Jason's forecast. Yeah. And then you open up the gifts.
You know, I'll unveil a nice present for you guys on Christmas this year, but as Harry was just saying, there is a chance of having a wee bit of a white Christmas.
So believe it or not, there's actually a definition of what a white Christmas is, and you must have this is from the National Weather Service, so we didn't just make this up. You gotta have 1 inch of snow on the ground on Christmas morning at 7 a.m. So literally at 7 a.m., somebody from the National Weather Service goes out, sticks a ruler in the ground. I mean, or in your yard, you could go out and, you know, say, okay, is it a white Christmas or not? You'll know at 7 a.m. I guess that's the magical hour. I don't really understand.
1 inch, that's the threshold.
1 inch or more.
1 inch or more.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's been 15 years since we've done that in Boston. So just goes to show how rare it is here in the city, recently anyways.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, so many of you may or may not know, I'm from the Deep South. And to see this now, that a white Christmas in Boston, of all places, has not happened in 15 years, it's actually mind-blowing.
That's a bit, yeah. And since 2000, it's only happened twice. So as we'll show you in a second, it actually is, this has been a strange run here. I think maybe call it climate change, call it whatever, but we've been a bit unlucky here in the last 20 years or so. So some of you might remember, though, back in 2017, we actually had a little bit of a snowstorm, but that did not qualify for White Christmas because it happened after 7 a.m.
Oh, come now.
So
okay.
Listen, we don't make up the qualifications, but just thought you might remember, hey, wait a minute, didn't it snow on Christmas Day? Yeah, it did, but didn't count for White Christmas. Anyhow, historically speaking, and Boston's got like 150 some odd years of record keeping, there's about a 10 to 25% chance on the coastline, and of course, you go farther north and west, your odds increase. This is historically, has nothing to do with this year, but no surprise, the more farther north and west you go, the better your chances, right?
So it's only 1 inch or more, past 7 a.m., has nothing to do with cold. You know, even though there's been some bitter cold Christmases in the years past, has nothing to do with cold.
Yeah, a completely arbitrary, random thing, but you know, it is something that everybody sort of wants and wonders. And of course, right now, the snow depth is non-existent in southern New England. This is our current snow depth map. All you see is a little bit out in the northern Berkshires and up towards the greens and whites. But needless to say, we are starting with a clean slate, a blank slate here. 1 week from today. Christmas
1
is
week from today, absolutely, yeah.
So we need something to happen, and Jason and I are going to talk about that. We have a few chances here. First chance, the first storm comes tonight, and you were talking about it all morning.
Yeah.
This is nothing to get excited about in southern New England, but there could be a little bit of snow in parts of the area. Right?
Yeah, you know, I think that when you look over towards the Berkshires, you look over towards, you know, the Fitchburg area, maybe the Leominster area, you may pick up on, you know, some wet flakes, maybe a little bit of icing here and there. But again, the key takeaway from this is most of us will be home, we'll be in our safe places. After 10 p.m. is when things really start to ramp up, or, you know, as one might say, deteriorate in terms of the atmosphere. We'll likely see a lot of the dry air beginning to punch through even around 6 a.m. Look at that. We don't even have any green on the map in the Commonwealth around 6 a.m.
Yeah, so you might have noticed very little of that blue and white stuff in southern New England, just in the high elevation. So we will get about a ½ inch or so of rain on average tonight, but as far as snow goes, this is not going to be our white Christmas storm. Just a little bit up in, as Jason said, extreme elevations in northern Worcester County, Berkshires, greens and whites, a couple inches, but nothing in southern New England. So tonight is a dud as far as white Christmas goes in southern New England. But don't go home yet. This is a kind of a tricky little storm, and we've been watching it for about a week, and it sort of comes out of the Midwest, and then the original storm will be sort of disintegrating, but transferring its energy offshore.
You know, a lot of times when, you know, I'm on the streaming side, I have a little bit more time on the streaming side to kind of nerd out a little bit. And you have often this transference of energy from one storm system to the other. And normally we tend to see that around the time where like the seasons change. But even though we're moving from fall to winter officially this upcoming Saturday, we are sort of kind of seeing this happen here. So one system kind of pulls down, another one just sort of gobbles up a lot of its energy, races off to northern New England over towards Nova Scotia, and then just kind of, I don't want to say bomb out, but just blows up once it gets over there.
It becomes a pretty decent storm. So if we have any viewers, and I think we actually do on our stream up in Halifax or Nova Scotia, pretty good snowstorm up there this weekend. Unfortunately for us, if you're looking for snow, we're kind of in that middle zone where we don't really get much snow from the initial storm, and the secondary storm is happening a little late. So we're kind of right in the middle. Not to say that we won't see any precipitation here, but will it be enough to, say, make for a white Christmas or an inch or two of snow on the ground? It's probably unlikely. I think we're going to zoom in a little bit here. So this is, you can see the sort of rain-snow mix just kind of hanging around offshore. Maybe a little bit of snow, and you'll see towards the end, later in the weekend, this is actually a little bit of ocean effects snow that's coming near the Cape. So all in all, it's rather doubtful that this amounts to much of anything. But
she tries.
It's worth watching, and just a refresher on ocean effects snow. This is more. You hear about lake effect snow all the time out in Lake Buffalo. For us, every once in a while, you get pretty cold air, and when you get the right wind direction, that cold air goes over the mild ocean, and it sort of forms little bands of snow. And many times it happens in like Plymouth County, Cape Cod. So we'll watch maybe a little bit of that happens later this weekend, but nothing to hang our hat on as far as White Christmas goes. So from there, before we get to our last chance of Christmas, we should note that the winter solstice is this weekend, Saturday morning.
It's going to be right on cue, because this cold air is really just going to make a beeline straight into southern New England. And I think, Terry, I mentioned this morning, we've been talking about this, let's say, in the past 3 weeks or so, really talking about the coldest era of the season. And every time we mention it, it is sort of colder than the previous system. Now, but this one is actually going to be cold.
This is really,
this one's really going to be cold.
Yeah, and I think we have a graph a little bit, but I think we're going to go below freezing and stay there for about Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Some places won't get above 32 at all for like 4 straight days.
Right, yeah.
That's pretty cold. And this is, as you said, arriving right with the solstice, winter solstice, December 21st. Basically just means it's when the sun's at its lowest elevation here. We have our shortest day as far as daylight goes of the year.
I think about 21 degrees, 21, 22
Is that what it
degrees.
is? Sounds about right. So we only have 9 hours and 5 minutes of daylight on Saturday. But the good news is, starting on Sunday, we start gaining minutes. But we're working back towards longer daylight.
30 seconds every day.
Slowly but surely, we'll get there. But there's that sort of dip you were talking about. Highs on Saturdays. Look at this. It's a high temperature on Sunday, 22 degrees.
It's downright. It's sort of very nasty.
Yeah,
very
I mean,
nasty.
if you're last minute shopping or last minute hanging lights, you're gonna have to bundle up Sunday, Monday time frame. Gonna be rather chilly. But I think the good news, so next week we're going to go through each day here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're traveling on the roads or via plane, there's not any major storms going on anywhere across the country. This is Monday. And Tuesday, kind of same deal. A little bit of rain like in the Midwest, down towards Kansas City, Texas, but this is not a major storm. But you notice that little white up sort of east of Detroit, and we're going to hone in on that in a second here. To see if we might get a Christmas last-minute Hail Mary sort of miracle here. This is Christmas Day itself. A lot of rain showers around in the east, but not any significant sort of wind storms or anything like that. But that little storm. So here's a close-up of the Northeast, and watch this thing come from Minneapolis through the upper Midwest. This could be our last-ditch effort for a little bit of snow, either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Yeah.
It's weakening as it comes through, and you can kind of see also sort of doing a little redevelopment thing, but this particular model does show some light snow along with some rain down towards the Cape Tuesday night into Wednesday.
Terry, I think we can do it.
You think this is it?
I think we can do it. Yeah, we've waited long enough. It's been 15 years. I think we can do it. Even if it's just an inch.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want that?
It's 6:59 a.m. Even if it's
We're going to be looking out the window. Come on.
I know.
So that may be our best and last chance. I mean, it's a sort of like I said, a Hail Mary pass. But here's our sort of official Christmas Eve forecast, Santa's ride, if you will. Some flurries developing, maybe a few sprinkles down in southeastern Mass, kind of around freezing. So you never know. And then Christmas Day, again, chance of flurries, as we saw early in the morning and the afternoon, but temperatures warming up a little bit. So certainly shouldn't be anything like all that disturbing if you're traveling around.
I definitely love the late day walk / the nap.
Which one would you prefer, the walk or the nap?
Oh, the nap.
Yes.
You know, the nap just kind of clears everything out, and you wake up and you're not only rested, but you're figuring out what's been going on once you've been asleep, and then you go back and get into the pots again.
Yeah, you go for leftovers. Absolutely, I totally agree. Forget the walk, go right for the nap. So here is our final graphic, sort of our prediction. Eric and I have been kind of tweaking this graphic all week. As of last night, we had a 10% chance in Boston. And a 30% chance in Worcester. And believe it or not, Eric and I were just chatting on the phone. I didn't have a chance to chat with you, so you may not even agree with this. But so looking at sort of the chances for that little mini storm Friday night, and again Tuesday night into Wednesday next week, we kind of thought like it's sort of just an equal chance around southern New England. There's really no advantage to being in Boston versus Worcester. But we kind of figured like 1 in 4 chance of an inch. I don't know. What do you?
I would have to agree. I would have to agree. 1 in 4, 1 in 3, sort of a thing. I think what would be a good thing if something does happen, we would have been frozen for, as Terry was saying, like 3 or 4 days. So anything that does fall, even if it's a dusting ½ inch up to an inch or so, it is likely to stick.
Right.
At least be around for
anywhere.
Christmas Day. If you want to get outside and enjoy the fam, maybe even go for a walk if you opt for that over the nap.
Yeah, so I mean, we're definitely kind of splitting hairs here. We're trying to squeeze an inch of snow out of 3 systems that are very minor and weak, but it's all in good fun. And I think it's something that we got a lot of questions about here. Like, the White Christmas is a popular thing that people enjoy. So
absolutely. And if you want to know any more questions about our winter weather forecast, don't forget we have that up as well. We had a lot of fun with this. So don't forget to watch that if you haven't.
Yeah, check out cbsboston.com. And Jason will be here next week, guiding you through Christmas morning again. Before you open those gifts, you just got a quick check and see if we got that inch. Because you'll be on air just before 7 a.m.
I'll be there. And if I get it wrong, you know where I am. I'll
go.
be Santa's little elf for that day.
Happy holidays to everybody. Happy holidays to you too, Jay.
Well, thank you so much. All right.